Hey everyone, it's your girl Shanithia. I'm coming with you another week. We are on week 17, Moving the Ark. Daily reading, 1 Samuel 18 and 21, 1 Samuel 22 and 25, 1 Samuel 26 and 29, 1 Samuel 30 and 31, 2 Samuel 1 and 4, 2 Samuel 5 and 8. In 2 Samuel 5, the Philistines heard about David being anointed as king over Israel, and they set out to find him and destroy him. David learned of the impending attack and goes to the Lord for directions. He waits and listens for God's instructions and is victorious when he follows them exactly. As a leader, David is certain that listening to God should always come before action. In 2 Samuel 6, after defeating the Philistines in a second battle, David is faced with another leadership challenge. He prepares to bring the Ark of the Lord back into the rightful place in Jerusalem. After it was briefly captured by the Philistines, the Ark is a holy gold plate chest carrying the tablet of the Ten Commandments, and it has to be handled accordingly to very specific rules. But this time, David doesn't ask God for instructions. Instead, he and his men retrieve the ark from the house of Babylonian. I'm trying to say that right. Assistance. A Babylon son, Uzin and Aton to transport it to Jerusalem. David and all the people of Israel are singing and celebrating alongside the cart. But then the oxen stumbles. Uzin reached out to settle the ark, and God immediately strikes him dead. What went wrong? The people involved did things the way they thought was best instead of listening to God. The Lord had laid out rules for transporting the ark, and they did not include putting it on a cart. It may have been a covenant for David and his men to move the ark this way, but it wasn't how God told them to do it. What God did tell them was that no one could touch the ark. See in Numbers 4 and 15, when Uzin, I'm trying to say that, reached out to keep the ark from falling, he made a split second decision that he thought was right, but it cost him his life. Both these passages clearly illustrate why it's behooved us to pray before we act. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. When we trust God, we're victorious, as David was over the Philistines. Unfortunately, sometimes we overlook some of the directions we receive. We begin to do things out of the convenience instead of how we've been instructed. This is a classic example of how our obedience to God affects everybody around us, including our family, our co-workers, and our fellow laborers in ministry. We should make sure we hear from God and follow his directions, not based on what we feel or think, but on what he says. And when it seems like God is not speaking, you got to recall what he has already said. It has to be his way, because his way is always right. Whew. Okay. That sounds really good, guys. Let me adjust a little bit. Sorry. All right, let's get to the questions. A little bit. There we go. Let's get to the questions. Have you ever made a move that you probably should have prayed about first? Were there repercussions? Yes, I definitely have, and I know we all have made a move without including God, and there definitely has been, like they said, repercussions and consequences, because honestly, God knows best. And then, like it said in his word in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. Yeah, I've done it plenty of times, and some of it, sometimes I'll be like, God, why I do that, and not listen to you. So, yeah. In plenty of situations, and there has been, but God is definitely, always there, so he has helped. Even when I put myself in situations when I shouldn't, or asked him, I moved first and didn't tell him, or he knew, and I still was like, oh, I didn't put him in the situation or ask him about it. Man, it's not a way to go. Why do we sometimes find it easier to go our own way than to seek directions from God? Because I would say, why is it easier? Because sometimes we just want to do what we want to do. And like I said, it has, like the first question, it is definitely repercussions if you just try to do what you want to do at the end of the day and not follow what God says or be obedient. It's not always, it's just not good. It's easier, but then it's like, why did I do this? Why did I do that? And then you're questioning yourself, and then it's like, okay, God, I should have just listened in the first place, or, being obedient is better than just doing what you want to do. Okay, going forward, how will you handle your decisions, great or small? Give everything to God. Pray. If you know how to fast, you know how to fast. Ask God to help you fast, and pray about everything you do, because when it comes to decisions, like it said, it's better to do it God's way than our way, because honestly, you'll still get there, but it'll take longer, or it'll just be a setback, and then you're just like, man, I shouldn't have done that. And you're just feeling like, man, I should have just listened to God in the first place. God tells you go this way, you go this way. And then you're like, I should have just listened to God, because now it's just taking too long. Or the path is just so much like, bumpy roads. And honestly, it could have been smooth sailing if you just listened to God. Like, literally. So, great or small, always. I learned that a couple of years ago. I was like, God, you know what? You know the plan. So why would I just be like, I want to do this or whatever, but I can't. Now I know I can't, because at the end of the day, I need to ask God, hey, even if it's like just purchasing something, or just even wearing certain things now, I'm like, hey, God, is this okay? People may think it's kind of stupid, but for me, it's just like, long as he's like proud of me, and long as he sees that I'm putting him in my, putting God first is the best thing. For one, put God first, because like everything else is just going to fall into place later on. But it's just like when you put him first, you like hear him, you spend that time, you spend that time with him and you just do what you have to do. And it's just like just being in his presence. And then it's like you build that relationship with him, and he can tell you like for example, I need you to go give this person $5. Okay, I don't know why I'm giving them $5, but God tells you to give them $5, and then you're like, God, I probably don't have $5, but I'm gonna give it to them or whatever. You just never know what the once you how you say it. Once you give God your yes, of course, like they say your yes, or I will do your will. I try to do his will every day. Then it just flows. It flows. Like even now, like I just ask God what I need to do every day. Like what do I need to do? How do I need to approach this person? How do I need to talk to this person? God, I don't want to deal with this today, but how do I deal with it if I have to? So even little small decisions of just doing different things in my life, or even y'all doing different things, just take it to him, big or small. So, like I said, there's different things in here where just because they didn't listen to God, a person got his life, cost his life. And David knew that, he said in the first, where was it? David knew when he knew about the attack coming, he went to God. Like I said, okay, it says David learned about the impending of attack and goes to the Lord for direction. He waited and listened for God's instructions, and it was victorious when he followed them exactly. So even though we don't understand, but if God's telling you an instruction to do something, it's for your good. And you're going to come out victorious. That's what it's saying. And then also, he had another challenge where he just thought, he was like, okay, God, I want to do it my way. Never do it your way. Trust me. Don't do it your way. Do it. At least ask God to try your best this week, and just ask him, what do I need to do? Because there's a lot of things that are going on, and I'm like, God, what do you want me to do? how you want me to maneuver? And he knows your desires of your heart, so he's gonna help you out and stuff. Just add him in it. Add him in every situation, like with the bill, with a friendship. I'm trying to hold my book. A friendship, the job that you want to get. God might have closed that door for a reason. You just never know what God sees before we do. He sees everything. So that was it. It was only 3 questions, and it says, this is my prayer. Dear Lord, help me. Oh gosh. Dear Lord, help me seek you in all that I do. It is my desire to be your divine and perfect. Oh gosh, I'm gonna start over. I'm sorry, guys. Dear Lord, help me to seek you in all that I do. It is my desire to be in your divine and perfect will, not just for me, but for all those who are connected to me. I vow today to seek your face, listen for your voice, and be led by your mighty hand. In Jesus' name, amen. And that literally wraps it up. Literally, that prayer. It's like seek him. My desires to do his perfect will, like we just said about doing his perfect will, and to be connected to him. Hear his voice so he can lead you. As a perfect example. And all it is just a tree. Little plant. So, that's it for today. I hope that helped. I hope you just remember this is week 17. And, it says moving the ark. But, what I hear is add God in it. Add God in it. That's what he's saying today. Just add me in it. And watch what I do. If you just add him in it. Like, whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're going through, this person on the job or this situation happened, just add him in it. And watch what he does. And also, he was saying just to, you know, just like I said, add him in it, and also just seek him. Start seeking him in your word, and and the music that you listen to, like your favorite song. God can speak through anything, so just add him in it. I'm telling you, once you add God in a situation and step back and don't even say anything, bruh, you're gonna be surprised. Like God, what? That's what happened. And also, God is protecting you, even though you don't understand why you can't talk to this person, why you can't go here, why you can't go there. He's protecting you at the end of the day. And it's a perfect example, like I said, with the ark. If they would have followed God's instructions, he wouldn't have died. But it's kind of like disobedience, and didn't follow God, he died. And everybody was like, what happened? Because you gotta be obedient. You have to follow the instructions, because like God sees everything, and he knows what path he needs to take you on. It may be like, when we see with our eyes, we're kind of like, all right, God, why are we going here? Why are we going there? What you mean? And it's so frustrating. But at the same time, when we just, surrender it to him, give it to him, and just let him do his thing, he's going to open the doors and opportunities. So this is your girl, Shanithia. That was week 17, and I hope y'all have a blessed night, blessed day, and I will see y'all on the next one. Bye.